I think we went from cultural appropriation to colorism and all that fun stuff. So here's what I don't think we ever did. We never really defined cultural appropriation.
I'm gonna Google that really quick to
How
see.
I personally define it is as
No, hold on. I think I really want the objective definition.
What does Webster's dictionary say?
Of cultural appropriation? Because here's the thing. I think cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of ugly pictures come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, I want the objective definition first before we give our definitions. Because I feel like our definitions all vary. And cultural appropriation is a sometimes very personal thing. So,
I feel like
Okay. I got Wikipedia and Urban Dictionary. Everything else is like websites. Okay.
I don't just Urban Dictionary like that.
what I want to say before we do this is that I feel like the conversation about cultural appropriation has often been shifted by the culture about who can wear what. It's like, oh, you're white.
Wait,
you can't
the
wear
culture
this.
the culture
As in
around culture appropriation?
America.
Oh, okay,
In
cool.
general, like when
Because
people
usually
talk
when
about
people say the culture, I was like black people culture.
Yeah, but just in general, I feel like the conversation has really shifted because people act like it's only about who can wear what and when, but it's not only about that in reality, and it's about so much more. And that's all I wanted to say before we get the real definition. Fresh.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, so the definition of appropriation is the action of taking something for one's own use, typically without the owner's permission. I looked this up because on Wikipedia it said cultural appropriation at times also phrased as cultural misappropriation, but that doesn't make any sense. It's cultural appropriation because that fits. So, is the adaptation of elements from one culture by members of another culture. This can be controversial when members of the dominant culture appropriate from disadvantaged minority cultures.
There you go. I feel like that's
There's a lot of gray area though.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Of course,
gray
there's gray area in everything, but I feel like
there's a giant gray area.
it truly is. We live in blah blah, like fairy things.
Oh, great. Enough from the existentialism crowd. Enough from the existentialism crew. So your definition of cultural appropriation?
Pretty much the same as the Wikipedia, because it's basically just like when you take something from a culture that's not yours and you use it in a way that's not accurate, pretty much. Like, again, because it mostly does tie in with like wearing things or doing things. It's like when you take do-rags. Let's go with do-rags because that is something that I find really super annoying. Do-rags are used in that culture to protect our hair when we sleep. Our hair is weak and fragile and it needs to be protected. I literally had a white friend who he didn't know what it was. He just thought they were cool. So he's like, yeah, can I have a do-rag? And I'm like, why? And he's like, because they're cool. You know, like, they didn't know what it was for. They didn't know that it was for a purpose. They just thought that we wore it because it looked cool. And that was literally why he thought that we wore it. Just because we wanted to, not for a reason. And it's...
Break Cap Wednesday is an institution. How dare you?
This was back in like middle school, so like, probably before that existed. And that is basically like, it's when you take something and you use it or you do it without the knowledge behind it. And oftentimes without permission, I guess, in a way. So like, if you wear sari to a wedding of any friend who asked you to wear it, or like said that you could wear it, then that's one thing. If you just go out wearing a sari because you think it's cute, that's another.
I 100% will judge you if I see like it's just a random white passing person wearing a sari. Cause like, do you know how many times like just Indian people? It all comes back to the whole entire like the people of the culture that you took that aspect from can't do it freely, so why should you? You know?
So when I define cultural appropriation, I come at it from a socio-religious perspective of it, in that every aspect of a culture has some history behind it. So do-rags are important to us because we use it to protect our hair, because historically we haven't had ways to protect our hair. Saris are important to you because, I don't know, why are they important to you? Because there's like an aspect to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of my culture.
Like there's the history of your fashion and your religion, and that's important. So when I come at cultural appropriation, I want to ask you, why would you wear this if you don't understand the heaviness that comes with it? Because if I choose to wear cornrows, like, yes, it is primarily a fashion choice and it's for protective style, but I also understand that for my ancestors, it was a painful thing after having their hair sheared off. And it's not something you think about on the daily, but it is something that you are innately aware of.
One thing I find really cool about African braiding and stuff like that too is that during slave times, I would say slave times, like during that era, they would use the braids to make maps to guide people places. Like, it's not just like, oh, look at the pretty style. Like, there really is reason behind everything.
You can't wear Native American headdresses because it is both a religious thing and a spiritual thing and an honor thing, because they use it the same way some people use military rankings. And it's just like, the thing that you think is funny to appropriate has significance to someone else. And if you don't understand that significance and you don't have the permission and you don't accept that, when you can't just pick and choose from people's culture, and that when you take something from their culture and you do not give it the due respect that it deserves, that to me is cultural appropriation. It is making likeness, it is making fun, it is making a caricature out of someone else's culture. I firmly believe that cultural appropriation is both ignorant and willful. I think you have to come from a place of privilege to be able to culturally appropriate. And that's why I asked the question of, can Black people culturally appropriate? And the answer is, I always thought yes, but I wanted to see other perspectives on it. Because one of the things that's been bothering me a lot lately is Black people getting into anime and not realizing that the history of the Japanese hasn't always been so clean and clear cut. And one of the things that's been bothering me is like there's been instances of like Japanese imperialism and their symbols during these imperialist times, and just because people are just like, oh, this appeared in an anime, so I don't have to do any research on it. And then when you have people who were like colonized by the Japanese, like people in Singapore or in Taiwan or Korea, and they say stuff like, hey, this is a sign of this is a sign of Japanese imperialism. Please do not wear this because it brings back bad memories for me. And people go, oh my God, why? It's just a cartoon. I hate that. I feel like the conversation around cultural appropriation should be one of sharing. It should be, if this person did this bad thing, explain it to them. And like I understand that you as a person who is being culturally appropriated, you don't want to sit down and educate them. But as a person, if you're a person who culturally appropriates, when someone tells you what you're doing is cultural appropriation, before you go and get on the defensive and go, oh my God, no, I'm just appreciating, you should look into the culture that you're appropriating and see why exactly this is appropriation. You should be able to understand what this means to other people who do not have your same background.
That's something I always find interesting, because another thing I want to talk about later on, like not today, but just in general on this channel, is like the sensitivity that certain people have. A lot of people like will see someone being offended by something, be like, oh my God, you're so sensitive, like lighten up. But like they don't understand why someone could be offended by that. They don't even bother trying to understand why they'd be offended by that.
And I think the pick and choose was a really good phrase, because I mean, they get to pick and choose the good parts of a certain culture, and they don't get the bad effects of it, like the racism, the harassment, the stereotypes, stuff like that, which is also another reason why people get so pissed. It's like, you know, we've had to deal with so much crap, and you can't just take the good parts of it after all of this fighting that we've done and just be like, I'm just gonna choose this, this, and this.
So what is your definition of cultural appropriation?
I don't think I have one, to be honest, because like you guys said, it can be defined by like a monolithic explanation. For me, it's like a case by case thing, you know? Like if a white person wears dreads, that's cultural appropriation. Like you have no ties to that culture where dreads came from, but you think it looks really cool because Bob Marley did it, and you smoke weed and he smokes weed. First of all, that's really undercutting all the work Bob Marley did.
Second of all, that's like really bad towards Rastafarian culture.
Yeah, like it's really a religious thing for like Rastas, and like it's also again a different hairstyle that's from many Black cultures, because Black hair is different than a lot of other cultures' hair, and it can do things like lock up very easily without needing to be matted or gross or dirty. So yeah, it's not the same thing as a white person's dress for the most part, because for a white person to get dreads, usually it takes a lot. It takes glue, it takes
Feathers.
matting, it takes a lot of stuff for white people's hair to be dreaded, and it usually doesn't look as good as a black
You
dress.
know what was absolutely ugly and that I hated, and that when we talk about dreads, we mainly say, oh my god, black people are culturally appropriating. Have you ever seen an Asian person with dreads? It is the most horrible thing ever.
That shouldn't be
because-
possible.
I've never seen
It
that.
should not be possible. Like
I'm sure it exists, but I.
Oh no,
How is that possible?
So it takes a whole lot of weave. Like, do you understand?
I'm sorry,
Like,
you did.
at least, like, Asian people's hair is so fine. I saw an Asian person with dreads, and it was just like, do you understand how much damage you're doing to your hair just so you can culturally appropriate? Like, it is not on.
the Asian people's hair is so like different than black hair. Like I love playing with people's hair, and like my friends of Asian descent oftentimes have like their hair is completely different. It's like it's kind of hard in a way sometimes, and like the way that black people's hair is, it's hard and it's straight, and it's doesn't lend itself to that.
Like, I think.
Wait, hold on, real quick. But like back to what I was saying
Go
about the
on,
whole entire thing.
Sorry, I'm just mind blown.
Yeah, I just feel like it's different circumstances for everyone, you know? But like I said, I just don't have a definition for it because like it just feels too monolithic.
I think it's extremely fair for you to take it on a case-by-case basis, because cultural appropriation is a thing that's taken on a case-by-case basis. Because, like, a 5-year-old playing dress-up, is that cultural appropriation?
No.
Or is it just they don't know better? So that's
Right.
why I think it's extremely fair of you to say it by that. But me, generally, I like to have, like I like to have standards. I like to have standards. I'm just like, hey, if you cross my line in the sand, we're done so. Like, you had your 3 strikes and you're out. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Because I need to see.
It's mostly just people like getting it really dirty and then just not washing it for like maybe
And that's
months.
If
That's
you're
the
black
only
and you
way
have
it maps
dreads,
up.
you can wash it. You can do everything you want with it. It doesn't come undone really easily. Like
That's
I've
another
heard of people like
misconception with
brushing
dreads.
out their dreads. It's like you can't really do that if you're black.
I'm so uncomfortable.
Also,
I
dreads are like really high maintenance. They're not like just
Oh, just leave them go.
yeah.
God, honestly,
Anyways.
black braids are like the best and also the worst.
Takes so much.
Oh my god, it takes so much time and so much money. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my people and I love like our hairstyles, but I have to pay $300 just to get my hair braided, and I want to cry, and it only lasts a month. So I'm paying
I
rent
know.
every month.
I used to not
To
get
get
my
my
hair
hair
dreads for like more than a week because my hair is like really soft and it matches up really easily. Like when I first started getting weave, I would get this style called Kiki twist. And it basically, if I get my hair done and like individual braids being, put in weave, then those individual strands will get matted. I have to do stuff like, what's the kind where you have to like, I forget what it's called, crochet. I have to do crochets because otherwise my hair will mat up. And I don't want dreads. I like my hair being
Office
natural.
locks are just like,
They're so cute.
they're so cute, but they're a whole nother level of evil. I don't
I'm just
think,
gonna Google that real quick.
I don't think anyone ever truly appreciates how many varied styles of black hair there are, and how
Much it all takes.
much it all takes, and how evil they all individually are for what they do to your tender head. Your tender head.
Let's see, not everyone's a tender head.
Oh, this is pretty.
Yeah.
It is pretty, but it is evil.
See, like, I feel like that's where it comes from, though. People being like, this is pretty, and then them not knowing the historical context
Yeah.
behind it.
Or how much it takes, or
Full disclosure, I did have cornrows when I was in middle school because, hear me out, before you cancel me, before you throw me to Mars. So I was on the step team, and our
Nice.
theme was Avatar, the blue
Nice.
people. And I remember our step director specifically telling us, come with just a few braids in your hair. But somehow that got misconstrued to come with the whole head of braids. And then she was like, I'm not gonna just let you have a few braids and this is gonna look off theme. And I was like, okay, sure. I didn't really know what I was agreeing to. But it involved weave, me realizing I was tender-headed, and dipping like the hair in like hot water.
So hey, you know you just did cultural appropriation inception, right? Because Avatar was cultural appropriation, so.
Your step leader was black.
Yeah,
And he told you to do it.
That was one of the only non-black girls on the
I
team.
feel like that
not
is definitely a case by case thing.
Yeah.
But like it's a step team. I think that's just like
That's appropriation of itself. No kidding. I used to do step. It's fun.
It was.
Hi, we're the Rainbow Brigade. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed what you just saw.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and share our videos.
And don't forget to comment below. You know, we want to hear what your experiences.
The Rainbow Brigade is also on other social media platforms. Our links will be in the description box down below, and we would be very happy to interact with you in other spaces.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.